And away we go.
So, what is in the news today? I know that we have a very busy news day, so let's get right into it.
Indeed we shall.
All right.
Oh, this one is very. This is gonna be a good one.
Sounds pretty interesting. What do you have there?
Xi and Modi pledge to rebuild China-India ties amid U.S. pressure.
Hmm. All right. Wow. Well, it is something. It is definitely. I'm not going to say a doozy, but it's definitely something. Let's try to hear more about this story.
On August 31st, 2025, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi held talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping in the port city of Tianjin prior to the opening of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. The meeting followed a period of strained relations after deadly 2020 border clashes and occurred shortly after the US imposed 50% tariffs on Indian goods. Xi Jinping emphasized that China and India are ancient civilizations and cooperation partners who should view relations strategically and pursue peace at the border. Xi emphasized that it is the correct decision for the two nations to maintain friendly relations, describing their partnership as a dynamic collaboration symbolized by the dragon and the elephant moving in harmony. Both leaders pledged to restart border talks, resume direct flights and visa facilitation, and strengthen multilateralism to support long-term bilateral growth.
Well, I'm going to be honest here. I do not necessarily know the extent of their relationship, but I will say this though: if they're willing to cooperate and maintain a very strong relationship, I would see. I don't see a problem with that. I mean, you know, they're both very old and ancient. So I mean, I guess old and ancient, like civilizations, they definitely work together in that sense. So I will say this: I hope they maintain peace and a war doesn't break out because we don't want anybody else dying or anybody else dying or anybody else getting hurt. And at the end of the day, as long as they're able to maintain a working relationship and help build each other up, whether if that be in supply, whether if that be in any form of supplies, food, or somehow possibly even upping their upping their civilizations by many with you know, then I'd say yeah, I see no problem with it, and if they're going to coexist with one another, yeah, it's just ultimately up to them to make sure that both sides are playing fair and both sides are just, you know, getting exactly what they want from one another. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
El Salvador to transfer Bitcoin reserves to multiple addresses.
Let's hear more.
On Friday, El Salvador's National Bitcoin Office announced the redistribution of 6,274 Bitcoin (BTC) from a single wallet into 14 new addresses. To reduce future quantum risk, the ONBTC said the single address setup caused unnecessary exposure, prompting redistribution to mitigate theoretical quantum computing threats. Each new wallet is capped at 500 BTC to limit potential damage, and Blockchain Explorer data confirms transfers with a public dashboard published by ONBTC enabling reserve tracking. The change immediately spreads El Salvador's funds across 14 addresses, reducing exposure if one wallet is compromised, while traders and markets react calmly and officials hail it as a blueprint for custodians and large holders. Experts note that quantum threats to Bitcoin remain largely theoretical, but the decision could prompt broader security reviews among governments, exchanges, and custodians, and upgrades by Bitcoin core developers and hardware makers.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, good on them. I'm glad that they're actually thinking ahead about not just the fact of, not the fact they're distributing Bitcoin to, well, although they haven't said specifically, but I have a feeling that Bitcoin will have to be distributed to individuals and or businesses within the country. So again, there'll be more to the story as it develops. However, for now, it's great to hear that A, there is intention of redistributing BTC, and B, they're thinking of backup or alternative plans to ensure that whatever happens with one address that's responsible for the distribution, at least it doesn't affect all of the Bitcoin that's in the process of redistribution.
Yeah, yeah, I couldn't agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I 100% agree. Is there anything else in the news?
Generations celebrated weddings, baptisms, and first communions at this Minneapolis church before it became a site of tragedy.
Oh, wow. All right, let's hear more about this.
On Wednesday, Robin Westman opened fire at Annunciation Church, Minneapolis, killing 2 children and wounding 18 parishioners while armed with 3 guns. Authorities say Westman blamed his mother, who signed his legal name changed and cited struggles with gender and marijuana, writing, "Gender and weed screwed up my head." Search warrants revealed Minneapolis investigators seized a large cache of items linked to the gunman, including a device that may have been a smoke bomb from multiple locations. Several victims remain hospitalized, including Sofia Forches, 12, and Andre Gunter, 13, as a Wednesday night vigil drew thousands in the Annunciation community of about 1,500 families. Investigators noted Robin Westman's weapons bore satanic symbols, and videos he posted showed demonic imagery and split personality behavior on Wednesday.
Ah, okay. Was this separate from from the other shooting, or is this the same shooting? I believe one shooting was at a Catholic church. At a Catholic church with many people. But I will say about this story, you can definitely see a trend. I mean, usually the shooters have their. I'll say this: the person who people who do stuff like this usually are dealing with their own demons. It's like you're seeing the trend. I mean, this person clearly had some mental issues. He was dealing with. I believe what you say was alcohol and gender identity ruined his life. You said, or
Yeah,
some form of.
mainly weed, but gender and weed said gender and weed screwed up my head. Something
Okay,
along
yeah,
those lines.
yeah. Usually, yeah, there's definitely a trend. It's either gender or some type of drug or some type of or just alcohol in general that screws you up so much so that yeah, it's like your demons start to make you into something that you're not. And it's unfortunate that a lot of people got hurt, and it's definitely unfortunate that 2 children had to die because someone unfortunately let their demons take over them. But you're starting to see a pattern. It's a spiritual warfare out here. It's either you're either with Christ or you're against Christ. I would say you might not even be really against it. You just be against the idea of just you know God and just people and just people living a certain life that you're not living, and you're just your demons make you very envious of that. So I'd say it's unfortunate that guy went into a church and hurt many people and killed 2 children. But yeah, that's what happens, man, when you don't let God in, man. It's like your demons take over. There's definitely I would say in this day and age there's definitely a shift. It's you're starting to see the people who are going back to church, coming back to Christ, and there are people who are just still in the world and letting their demons kind of dictate how to live their lives. Now, I'm not gonna say that every person who are battling demons is gonna shoot up a church. I pray and hope not. But yeah, it's you're just you're seeing a trend. Yeah, you're just seeing it's not even a trend. You're just seeing it's not even a trend. It's more of a pattern. And yeah, it's really unfortunate. All you can really do is pray for people like that they would not hurt innocent children and innocent people, innocent adults entirely. Yeah, it's just very unfortunate and sad. But you just have to pray for people like that. That they can truly come to the Lord Jesus Christ and they can truly be saved. That's what a lot of people need in this day and age. So I think if the person who's in bed is not dead, I genuinely hope that they can truly find Jesus Christ and repent. I think that they should obviously serve whatever time that they if they're not dead. I believe that, or if they didn't kill themselves, I believe that they should serve whatever time that they should serve in prison. But ultimately speaking, I just pray that they can truly have a supernatural interaction with God and just change their ways. You know, and yeah, they're looking at their own demons. God be with all those people who got hurt. God pray for full recovery. But yeah. In other news, Roblox. Roblox has been in the news as of late because they allowed child predators to be on that app. But there is news that Roblox has announced some new age restrictions that will bar players under 18 from seeing, accessing, or creating 18 plus content. This comes after Chris Hansen, one of the most well-known predator catchers who started this whole thing, has began an investigation into Roblox for child safety concerns. So, John, man, I have to ask you this. Do you think that this thing that Roblox is doing will change anything at all, whatsoever? Do you think that it will stop any predators from
No.
accessing children? That was a quick answer, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's not going to stop anything. It's not. Which is why Chris Hansen is needed in this situation. But let's see what else in the news.
Pakistan's Punjab province battered by its biggest flood with 2 million people at risk.
Wow, that is a lot of people. 2 million people. But let's hear more.
Pakistan's eastern Punjab province is experiencing unprecedented flooding as river levels reach historic peaks, affecting 2 million residents. The flood was caused by unusually heavy monsoon rains, exacerbated by global warming, along with water flowing into Pakistan's low-lying areas following controlled releases by India. Authorities are evacuating residents using boats and rescue camps in schools and police facilities, while thousands have been relocated by the Eddy Foundation's marine team. Between the beginning of July and late August, Punjab experienced a 26.5% increase in monsoon rainfall compared to last year, while nationwide 849 people have lost their lives due to the rain-related incidences since June 26. Officials warned the flood emergency could worsen, with over 750,000 people displaced people, and critical risks to agricultural areas vital for Pakistan's food security.
Well, I would say, that situation is definitely putting 200 million people at risk. Sorry, not yet. Sorry, 2 million people. Sorry, I said 2 million people at risk. And I say, I hope that things change for the better. Because honestly speaking, you don't want to put anybody, you don't want to ever put anybody at risk. And all you would want is for people to remain as safe as possible, and just be able to just live, be able to live wherever they live, without without any form of concern or any form of urgency. I would say, except when it comes to the simple things protecting your children or just make sure your community is safe. Yeah, like, what do you think of this?
Absolutely devastating.
Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, like, yeah, all in all, like, that's, pretty much how you do. Yeah, that's like a great way to put it. It's absolutely devastating. So, I just do hope that things can get better from here on out. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
The success of AI music creators sparks debate on future of music industry.
All right, let's hear more.
When pop groups and rock bands practice or perform, they rely on their guitars, keyboards, and drumsticks to make music. Oliver McCann, a British AI music creator who goes by the stage name I'm Oliver, fries up his chatbot. McCann's songs span a range of genres from indie pop to electro soul to country rap. There's just one crucial difference between McCann and traditional musicians. I have no musical talent at all, he said. I can't sing, I can't play instruments, and I have no musical background at all.
I really have no strong opinion about this. Do you? I
We're
mean,
cooked. The music industry is done for. If majority of music that's releasing, not just this year, but in the next decade or two, is all going to be AI, where's the soul? Where's the vibes? It's just plastic, manufactured, generic slop, and
yeah.
that's
I mean, it's like I said, I don't really have a strong opinion about this because, like, I knew that I knew that this was going to be inevitable. I mean, like, first music, then other stuff, which, I'll be honest, I hope, like, yeah, then it's gonna possibly be voice acting, and then they're gonna try to replace other things with, AI. Yeah, like, stuff that you can, like, legitimately just listen to through your phone. Yeah, like, AI is just going to take over that. Yeah, and, like, the next generation is just gonna grow up with, like, AI music. There's really, it's like you said, there's gonna be no passion, no soul, no feeling into the music. It's just gonna be manufactured garbage. And ultimately speaking, man, it's already hard enough to find good music. So, I mean, like, I'll say this: maybe some of the AI music will be good, some of it, or, like, most. But I think because that it's like it's not gonna be the same without, like, just a human in the studio making the music. It's not gonna be the same. Uh, but ultimately speaking, man, if it's just AI, then, like, yeah, there's gonna be, like, no in depth. To, there's gonna be no depth to it. There's gonna be no. It's just gonna be, manufactured garbage. Or it's gonna be, or some of it might be good, but, it doesn't matter how good it is, because, like, at the end of the day, that it's not from the heart. It's just from the AI person is, like, laboratory. It's, it's just not. It won't be the same. Yeah, like you said. But I mean, I would hope that artists would stand up and say, "Hey, we're not going to allow this to happen." Because ultimately speaking, it's up to the artist to, like, actually speak out against this. Because me and you can't speak out. This is not our field. This is their field. So they need to. Yeah, they need to. Because nothing won't do this better.
I think there should be at least some kind of training for people to evaluate and determine and spot out what key differences are between what music is made by humans and what music was generated by AI. So at least core foundational infrastructure and foundations to create some kind of system where people can be trained and test them on spotting differences between AI generated music and music created by humans. Once we get the hang of a system like that, or at least a platform that encourages and tests people on detecting whatever's AI or not, it's not the answer to everything, but at least it gives people the ability to understand what is real and what is manufactured digitally.
Yeah, I 100%, I 100% agree. Yeah, you're absolutely right. yeah, I think people today have the opportunity. Yeah, it just matters. It just matters. Like, at least let the people, at least let some people choose. I would also say at least let some people choose whether they want to listen to manufactured music or real music. Yeah, that's what ultimately is what it's all about. AI is here to stay for the long run. Who knows? Maybe AI is going to evolve into something else, and they're going to call it something else. But
Don't get me started
only
on AGI.
what in the world is that? You know, talk about that. No, no. We will talk about that another time, or specifically. But yeah, but what else is in it?
Number of sick days taken by public servants growing post-COVID.
Oh, good. Yeah, let's
The Canadian Press reported on August 31st, 2025, that average sick days for Canadian public servants rose from 5.9 in 2020 to 2021 to 9.2 days in 2023 to 24. This rise followed a dip during the pandemic, when most office employees worked remotely and likely took fewer sick days due to reduced exposure to germs. Experts such as Catherine Connolly and Dr. Alikan Abdullah attribute the initial drop in sick days to less commuting and working from home, even when mildly ill, while noting factors like delayed healthcare may now increase sick days. Between 1718 and 2023-24, staff members from the federal agencies responsible for border security and corrections regularly recorded some of the highest numbers of sick days and were less inclined to endorse their workplaces as great places to work. The upward trend in sick days implies rising illness levels, possibly driven by more exposure and mental health challenges. While Ontario plans to mandate public servants back to the office full-time in 2026.
Wow, a lot of sick days. Some of them honestly might be fake. Man, I wouldn't imagine that many people would be like on it. I wonder if it truly is because of the pandemic. How much do we know about the pandemic? I would beg the question: why are so many people calling out sick days? Why is it increasing?
That is a
That's
very
what I
good
want to know.
question. Yes.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, that begs the question: why are sick days increasing? I thought that they would decrease because like the pandemic is not here anymore. No one is catching COVID, whereas I believe that is definitely something to actually ponder. Why are so many people getting sick or taken? For the conversation, it's easier to just say, why are so many people getting sick? Because ultimately, do you think it has something to do with the COVID, with COVID and everything, or you know, is this just like a coincidence?
Well, there will be people saying something has to do with the COVID that they were infected with. Other people will say the vaccines they took to combat against the COVID. There'll be some people that say there's a third thing that they can't actually genuinely explain for whatever reason. Either way, there is so much fear-mongering and skepticism across the entire healthcare industry. And although it is important that we stay healthy and take the advice from health experts, we can't just take whatever medication or treatment that is provided to us without actually asking them questions regarding what what will be some symptoms or side effects from taking said treatment, and what would happen if I do experience said symptoms or side effects when taking said medication. And then surely, somehow, and it has to be, the experts in healthcare and other doctors and nurses, they'll have to find the answer. If not, well, not to say they should know everything. However, they have to prepare themselves to ensure they know as much as they can to provide the best care for the general public, because it's very important, and there is so much responsibility to ensure the health of others is at stake, and at the highest standard, of course.
Fact. Yeah, I 100% agree. All we can really do is all we can really do is question one. And yeah, we just hope for the best for the people who are involved. And yeah, that's all we can do. At the end of the day, but yeah. Is there anything else in there?
Lady Gaga booked to perform at the MTV VMAs.
I have not heard the name Lady Gaga. Yeah, wait, did she play in like I forgot. Did she play in like a Joker movie or was that someone
No, she was in the Joker movie.
else?
And not just any Joker movie, it was the one that was literally a musical half of the time.
Like when we came there, before we get into this, we went there to see action and seriousness. But man, we saw. I'm not gonna lie. We saw a musical, a whipped version of Joker, and just she was whipped because Harley was a girl who only liked the guy because of his Joker persona. And this man really risked it all for a girl who didn't even care about him. The movie was just terrible. It was not only a musical. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Singing is part of Joker's character. I wouldn't have minded the singing. But for the majority of the music, for the majority of the movie though, really? I didn't want to hear them singing the entire time. I wanted to see some action. I don't know, some laughter, some serious moments. 'Cause that's who Joker was. Not some singing cuck. They pretty much made Joker to a cuck. I mean, come on. They made him to a sucker. And on top of that, he got violated. He got violated in that movie, from what my friend told me, by a cop. But I didn't even know that was happening when we watched the movie. But you know, it's whatever. Anyway, let's hear more about Lady Gaga. I'm sorry I got off track. Sorry to get. All right, what are your thoughts on like Lady Gaga?
Well, she has made an impact.
Right,
She has made an influence for herself, and a name for herself as well. But nonetheless, she will have her haters, and at some point, she will thank those haters for making her relevant to begin with. That's for sure.
yeah, that's true. I don't even, yeah, once again, I don't even hate Lady Gaga because it's been a while since I've actually. Well, to be fair, I don't really follow her that much, but again, it's been a while. But yeah, at the end of the day, Lady Gaga still bounce back. She's got it. Every celebrity bounces back. You know, shoot, Taylor Swift has her own haters. Shoot, she bounces back. She don't even care. She's rich, successful, and married. I presume. Let's see how long that marriage lasts. I'm not wishing on their downfall, but I'm just saying. Let's see how long it lasts. I hope it lasts. Let's see how long it lasts. But yeah, celebrities are gonna have their their haters. Not just don't let that bother you. They just don't let it bother them. Besides, Lady Gaga is still successful. She's still rich. So, there's not really much to say more. I mean, if you let people impact your life who you don't even know, that you're just weak, mental. But anyways, is there anything else in there?
Yeah, let's just have a look see.
Let me check and see if I can find something. 24-year-old woman, 97K by eating only eggs and bread every day. She aims to save 1.3 million by age 40. Huh. I'll be honest. That alone is impressive. I mean, if we can all strive to have the same attitude as her, we could probably save that much money. And strive to become millionaires by the age of 40. If we were all willing to only eat eggs and bread every day, or one specific food every day that won't kill us. Huh. Interesting. Is there anything on your end?
Indonesia protests Prabowo says Parliament to remove controversial perks for MPs, suspend errant lawmakers.
Interesting. Let's hear more about that.
Indonesian political parties have agreed to cut lawmakers' benefits. President Prabowo Subianto said on Sunday in a bid to calm anti-government protests that have killed at least 5 people in the country's worst violence in decades. Protests began on Monday over what demonstrators call excessive pay and housing allowances for parliamentarians, escalating into riots on Friday after a motorcycle rideshare driver was killed during police action at a protest site. Homes of political party members and state buildings were ransacked or set ablaze, shaking investor confidence in the Southeast Asian economy and triggering a steep sell-off on its stocks and currency markets on Friday. Looters broke into a house owned by Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati outside the capital, Jakarta, overnight. State news agency Antara reported on Sunday. She was not in the house at the time, and it was not clear if she uses the property often. More protests are planned for Monday, and student groups did not call them off after Prabowo's announcement. Prabowo, speaking at a press conference at the presidential palace and flanked by the leaders of various political parties, said he had ordered the military and police to take stern action against rioters and looters. He said some of the unrest bore the signs of terrorism and treason.
Any initial thoughts on that?
Well, it is a lot to get into. So, I will say this. It's good to hear that whatever benefits that parliamentarians or other political politicians are being given is to be cut down. Because if you look at the pay for local MPs, now not to say them, I'm not saying they're making hundreds of thousands a month, but the pay they get, the pay that MPs in the UK are making, their wage is certainly a lot higher than whatever the minimum wage people would get each year. And with whatever money that MPs have laying about, they can just spend on whatever they want. So to see benefits at least reduced, that's great. Because I don't know how much politicians in Indonesia are benefiting from whatever the pay they're getting, the benefits they have being a politician. Because of these benefits, that's probably why people want to become politicians to begin with. Not just not just because they want to serve the people or speak on what is right. They want the benefit that's provided to them for being in the job. If you take that away, would these politicians be in the job, or would they go off working in other sectors?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I 100% agree. People pretty much just do it for the power, for the status, for the praise, and for just all the wrong reasons. So people don't even have to care about a certain issue. They can just say that they care about a certain issue and get and ultimately get the audience, get the attention, do it for the money, do it for fame, or do it for whatever reason they're doing it for. There are only few people who really do it for the love of the game, honestly. I don't think a lot do it for the love of the game. Being a politician in of its own is a horrible, not a horrible job, but I meant a hard job, not a horrible job, a hard job. There's there's so much that goes into it. But ultimately speaking, yeah, it just really depends on your intentions when it comes to this type of stuff. But in other news, rapper Snoop Dogg sparked outrage with his criticism. Actually, no. Snoop Dogg apologizes amid backlash over Lightyear LGBTQ scene. His response was my bad. And the screenwriter alleged, well, not even alleged, of this scene that a character needed a partner, and it was natural to write he instead of her, instead of he. I knew the impact it could have. I'm proud, not surprised. To infinity, love is love. Again, pride. And I would say this. Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg. I mean, if he said anything more than my bad, I don't think that he should have apologized. And man, like, well, it's America. At the end of the day, we're allowed to have our own. We're allowed to have our own opinions about, like, a specific group or a specific thing. Yeah. And someone said, like, normalize this. Strip homophobic celebrities of their opportunities. First off, that's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen. Celebrity, like, if you're a big enough celebrity, all you have to do is apologize and then go on with your life. And just try to never comment on that type of stuff again. So ultimately speaking, it does not matter. It does not matter. I mean, as long as you're able to just compromise and apologize, or at least say something as far as that, and yeah, yeah, like, it just does not matter. But yeah, but ultimately speaking, I can see why Snoop Dogg didn't like it. And there are so many questions that need to be answered. Like I said, I would have personally been honest with my child. I would have said, yeah, that's not right. Especially if I didn't know that was gonna happen going into the movie. Son, it's a movie. It's not real at all. But other than Snoop Dogg somewhat folding under that mid pressure, and I mean mid pressure. I don't think it was probably not that much pressure he folded under. He just didn't want to lose his opportunity. Let's see what else in the news.
Jude Law debuts portrayal of Vladimir Putin in The Wizard of the Kremlin at Venice Film Festival.
What is Vladimir Putin doing in that? I mean, why is someone playing Vladimir Putin? Let's get into the story. Maybe it'll answer my question.
Jude Law transforms into Vladimir Putin for Olivier Assayas's The Wizard of the Kremlin, an adaptation of Giuliano da Empoli's book, which has its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival. The film is partially set in the 1990s amidst post-Soviet chaos and follows a fictional advisor-inspired Vladislav Surkov, considered the architect of Putin's political system. The Wizard of the Kremlin is expected to spark conversations as Russia's war in Ukraine continues, reflecting on modern politics and its deceptive methods.
Well, I would say that could definitely be an interesting movie for some. I would say, like, it definitely does seem like it has a good plot to it. It definitely has a good plot to it for people who are interested in stuff like that. And I just hope that they are not doing anything that's either, I would say that's either propaganda or blasphemy. Other than that, I just hope that they do pretty good. I feel like that's something, I don't know. Do you think that's something that Rick would watch?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think so either. So yeah. I really don't know what to think about the movie. I'm clearly, we're clearly not gonna watch it. Well, I'm not gonna watch it. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm clearly not gonna watch the movie. Let's see what happens. Hopefully they not something stupid. So yeah, let's see what else in the news.
Zaboslai stunner ends Liverpool win over title rivals Arsenal.
Interesting. Let's hear more.
Champions Liverpool struck an early season title blow against rivals Arsenal in a 1-0 Premier League victory at Anfield on Sunday, thanks to Dominic Szoboszlai's stunning free kick in the dying minutes. Szoboszlai struck in the 83rd minute after Martin Zubamendi's costly foul on Curtis Jones, unleashing a shot from 25 yards out that ricocheted in off the inside of the post, which had the Liverpool fans chanting "Champions!" With both teams winning their opening two games, the afternoon was a chance to set an early tone for the season, but it appeared to be heading for a goalless draw in a game billed as a battle between titans. Liverpool's summer signing Hugo Ekitike thought he had broken the deadlock in the second half when he bundled in the ball after goalkeeper David Raya fumbled Florian Wirtz's shot, but VAR showed Cody Gakpo was offside in the build-up.
To be honest with you, I personally have no real feeling toward that. Do you? Or I
Well,
don't really have a real opinion about that.
fair enough. Well, it comes to show you another season. It's another season, the same old results. I mean, they have a chance, but anything is possible at this point.
That's true, and I will take your word for it because that's all I can do. I don't watch sports. I mean, I watch wrestling. I don't watch sports.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Is there anything else in the news?
Thousands attend Australia anti-immigration rallies.
Anti-immigration. Right.
Thousands of Australians rallied against immigration across the country, with the events condemned by the government as having far-right links and spreading hate. Some opposition politicians, including Pauline Hanson and Bob Katter, joined the marches, with Katter threatening a reporter over questions about his attendance. The rallies were promoted by opposition politicians, neo-Nazi figures, and anti-lockdown campaigners, and claims that mass migration had torn at the bonds of that held our communities together.
I will say this: things are always going to happen. Things will always be said. Hate will always hate won't always prevail, but it will prevail in certain situations. I'm not gonna pick a side, left or right. I will say, whatever needs to be done should be done, you know, and hopefully, whatever is done is the right decision. But if it's the wrong decision, then I hope that the wrong decision is reversed to the right decision. But ultimately speaking, I would say, I would really have no formal stance on, this whole situation, because it can go either way and either or, depending on how you think about it and how you portray it. So, with that being said, that is pretty much all I have to say about that. Yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Just looking. Mexico's first elected Supreme Court faces critical test of independence.
So right, let's see what it is facing and how hard or easy it is.
Mexico held its first election for judges, including the Supreme Court, amid concerns over partisan influence and voter confusion. The new Supreme Court will face key issues like pretrial detention laws, abortion rights, and transgender rights. Previous courts have expanded rights in areas like abortion and transgender identity on birth certificates.
I will say this. So those are all considered problems within that they're.
Well, I can't say they're
So I will
wrong.
say this. So how would you? I would like to ask, how would you describe this situation that's going on in Mexico currently? How do you think that they should go about it?
Well, the gentlest way I can describe the situation is, although it is important that people have a say on how the country should be run, just because the system is good in giving some kind of representation for the people, for them to have a say on how the country should be run, does not mean you should always give people a say on everything. There has to be some line drawn where it should be down to particular figures, not just based on the power they're in that's voted in by the people, also the groups of people with knowledge and experience within their particular field. Not that I'm encouraging some kind of technocracy. However, there are some systems that may or may not be compatible for choosing figures to be in whatever position of power, whether it be administration, judiciary, security, or whatever department of a government that is responsible for keeping a country functioning. Because although it's important that we should allow people to have a say in who should be put in whatever position that those people should be in. What would happen if the majority of people that have voted in the person to be in a particular position to be held responsible for whatever jobs and opportunities that is beknownst down to the person that's responsible for, like, passing new laws, looking at the agriculture, managing the finances, or whatever position. What if those people that have voted in that person have no idea, not just the person's history, but also the fact that the person that they voted in has no idea what they're in for?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I would say, definitely that person might not even know what they're in for. And it just really, and yeah, the people should also, the people should, to an extent, have a right to, choose, choose and make decisions, but it gets to a point where, but it gets to a certain point, where you just have to make that decision yourself and figure out what you believe is right for the people. And yeah, ultimately speaking, we can't really do anything about it. It's ultimately up to, the people of that country and, the people who are running that country to determine what they want out of that country and what they want to achieve. It's I would say, we just gotta see what happens next, because we ultimately cannot control the situation or control, what the country does or how they do it. We just have to trust that they know. We just have to trust that they will know what they're doing, and see what happens next. And maybe we can report about it sooner than later. But for now, we just have to be patient and wait, because we don't really know what they're thinking or what they're gonna do and how they're going to go about running their country, go about, stuff like transgenderism or any problems such as that. And yes, problem. But
And although there are,
but yeah, yeah, we just got
to say, even though
Oh, you can go.
there are people that they say they know exactly what they want from their government, is it what they want or ask for? Is it in their best interest? Not just in the long run, but for their livelihood.
That's true. True. People need to really think about their livelihood when it comes at the end of the day, when it comes to stuff like that. So yeah, it just always depends on, the situation that you're in, the situation that you're in, and the situation that you put yourself in, and the situation that you want to be in. But ultimately speaking, yeah, it really does just totally depend. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Judge temporarily blocks deportation of more than 600 Guatemalan children.
Huh. Okay, let's get into that news and see why that is the case.
CNN reported that the Trump administration is trying to deport more than 600 children in coordination with the government in Guatemala. Attorneys for 10 of the children in the class action lawsuit argue the United States government's plan is unlawful and violates the children's right to due process. Judge Spock L. Sugnanan said after a Sunday hearing that the kids cannot be deported for at least 14 days. It is a dark and dangerous moment for this country when our government chooses to target orphaned 10-year-olds and denies them their most basic legal right to present their case before an immigration judge. Efren C. Olivares, Vice President of Litigation and Legal Strategy at the National Immigration Law Center, said in a statement.
As far as kids are concerned, they don't know what's going on. They barely even know the seriousness, the seriousness of the situation. So I would say, why involve the children at all? Why involve the children at all? They barely even know what's going on. Children, I would say, I get wanting to support immigrants, but I would say, I don't know, maybe to a degree have mercy on some of these children from time to time. Like maybe if they have a family member who's a U.S. citizen that they can stay with. I say let the adult get situated and then come back and take care of the child. And then just I don't know. It's like a whole thing. Like when you're thinking about an adult, it's like, all right, yeah, sure, support them. They know that. But a child in general does not know that in this way. They barely even know what's going on. So it's kind of just mixed feelings about it. Like this and that. It can really truly go either way. Besides, if you're an adult, then you're responsible. But if you're a child, then you don't know that. Ultimately speaking, I don't really know what else to say other than just to try to get. I would just say to give the children a break. Give the children a break and just have the adults take on the full responsibility. What is happening? But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Is there anything else in the news?
That is us.
All right.
Peace.